and gentlemen, to Season 11. We're here with Round 1. It's a brand new day for the Sim Racing Alliance. It's going to be a little bit more punishing out here during qualifying.
It's definitely a hard one here. It's what it's like. It's very, very punishing.
For all the way in Germany, this will be the first time we see this in the team series here. This is a track where you will be driving the track, not as much driving the drivers on the track.
Very brave is the Ferrari to get the move done.
He does get the position done.
Oh, huge contact, and they're both going to go around. Going to be a huge move up the inside.
He's been using every bit of the track.
Pedal to the metal, foot to the floor.
And we're off and away for SRA.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sim Racing Alliance GT3 Team Series. You are tuned in to the Division 3 stream. This is the season finale, Round 8 from Kyalami here in South Africa. I am your host, Philip Mueller. Thank you, as always, for having me. Returning this week, the man, the myth, the legend. I know you guys missed him. I missed him too. Donovan Colton, welcome back to the stream, sir.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a good vacation, but I'm ready to get back into some SRA racing.
Fantastic indeed. So, before we start this qualifying session, we do have a bit to discuss in the standings. So last week, I made a big to-do about how Caleb Craig was passing John Laz in the overall point standings. Well, I was wrong on a couple counts. First off, he didn't. John Laz maintains the overall lead by 2 points. But second of all, and perhaps most importantly, it actually doesn't matter. The only thing that matters, so SRA does accolades for top gold driver, top silver driver, and that's it. So John Laz, he's the top gold driver, 506 points. Caleb Craig, 504 points. Not competing with each other at all. So Caleb Craig, your silver champion now, if you're looking at the points there, 201 points over the nearest silver driver. His domination has been just something to see. John Laz, similarly, because of the way we do drop points here at SRA, has locked up the overall gold driver championship. So well done to both of our individual drivers. The really important fight is what you're looking at on your screen now. We've got the team championships. So our Stealth Panda Racing Love of Lexus boys, DJ Watts, Curtis Lee, still hanging on to first place by a mere 55 points over the guys that you potentially have to call the favorites coming into this race. The dominant Bentley team, Martin Riggs and Caleb Craig, hoping to pull off an upset, a little bit of a comeback in this final round of the team series. Also, mathematically in the running is Zodi Fade and Quentin Shatner of the Midfield Masters McLaren team. So battles on track to look out for everywhere. As I said, this week we are at Kyalami. Personally, a favorite of mine, not just for hot lapping, but the racing. Donovan, I'm expecting just a banger of a race this week.
Yeah, great track, and like you said, it's both really, really fun for hot lapping, but it's also fantastic for racing. There's a lot of alternate lines that you could get when battling other cars, and different cars have different strengths and different turns, and this track has a lot of different kind of turns that are just great for racing. I think we're going to see a lot of overtakes and hopefully not too much carnage. The T1 here can be a little bit inviting to go wide. Famously,
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Famously, SRA. There was like a 5 or 6 wide, I think it was one time into. I guess it's T2 technically. Turn 1 is not really a turn, but that's okay. But yeah, hopefully we don't see too much carnage. It can be a little dicey, but I think we'll be okay. It's the final race in the season. Everyone's got it out of their system, right?
Well, you would hope so. But like you said, man,
Trying to
just
manifest
the width of the track going into turn 1. I mean, it's, why not send it up the inside? There's room there, right?
Yeah.
So jumping into the race scene here, we are on board with the man who has just crushed the past couple races of the season, Caleb Craig, out here for the first half of our qualifying session. We've got our silver drivers out on track right now. They'll be taking the first 10 minutes to put down their best laps. Caleb Craig is, of course, our Coach Jeffrey's Academy prediction for silver, and really, how can you go wrong with that? Coming around the final corner here, starting his first flying lap in that beautiful Comic Racing Bentley.
Yeah, and I think the Bentley is relatively strong here. I mean, when you Caleb is relatively high up on our practice leaderboard, which of course he had a rapid pace all season. So yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, if we're getting, he's won quite a few races this season. So I wonder if he could make it one more to finish it out.
Definitely hard to bet against him as he makes his way through this long right-hander sunset. Super tough, super fast, very technical track. Getting it slowed down for this left-hander, leading into this tricky kind of left-right. It's not quite a chicane, but it'll definitely throw you off if you're not on your game.
Yeah, and it's tricky in cars like the Bentley, in the big front-engine cars. You could get quite a lot of understeer if you don't set it up right through turn 8. You'll get a lot of understeer through turn 9, and yeah, that could be a little bit challenging. That's actually, the outside of that is a weird one for track limits. It pings you for track limits when you don't really think that you went off the track. Sometimes it invites you to go out there, and yeah, you'll get pinged for track limits. So that's one area I tend to personally notice that being an issue.
Yeah, but definitely a tricky track for track limits. We'll have to keep an eye as this race goes on, what the drive-through situation turns out to be, as we see, I believe that's Jeremy Yarin in the 488 Ferrari ahead. Got a little wide out of the last turn. Caleb Craig was able to complete his first lap okay, putting in a 141.927, but definitely impeded on this second lap here, so he's backing off. He'll take another stab at it next time around. 6 minutes left on the clock for him, so he'll have time for at least 3 or 4 more. Let's jump on board in the meantime with, not that name, not this Yarin brother, the other one. So we've got Jason Yarin here, who may not be the Coach Jeffrey's Academy prediction for silver, but he is the top time on the practice leaderboard with a 141.025. Jason Yarin, I'm actually hoping, knock on wood, this is a guy who really deserves a good race result after some unfortunate finishes so far this season.
Yeah, and the 488's strong here, and it's definitely a good track. Odds are in his favor. I know he put in a lot of laps this week, and yeah, he's been rapid. I mean, that's a fast time. That's quite a fast time. So definitely have my eye out, and yeah, like I said, the 488 is strong here, and put a driver that knows the car well, knows the track well from running it a lot this week, and yeah, that is a recipe for a good result.
Yeah, definitely. And so interesting that you mentioned the amount of practice he's been putting in. So Coach Jeffries, in addition to doing the fantasy league, in addition to doing his predictions every week, also runs the sweatshop, which tracks the practice laps that every driver puts in, totals them up for the season, and at the end he awards the sweatshop winner accolade that you get a little emoji in the Discord server. So you're looking at the sweatshop winner for this season, Jason Yarin, with a couple thousand laps. Like you said, has been putting in the work, and is it's showing in his pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how you put in that many laps. I mean, I put in a lot of laps in season 10, but it still was not. I mean, I think I was like 5th fastest, and I felt like that was, or fastest, 5th most laps. I feel like that was the absolute most I could have possibly put in.
Yep, so I pulled it up. 2,943 laps on the season for Mr. Jason Yaron on your screen, hoping to convert that into a good qualifying result as he's coming through this 3rd sector here. He's over a second up on his delta, which should put him potentially on provisional pole if he can keep it together. Coming through this tricky right-hand kink. That curb on the inside is treacherous. Keep it within track limits on the outside. Successfully navigating this last corner here. And Jason Yaron, as we are approaching the line here, 1.2 seconds up on his delta, which will indeed see him up into P1 for the time being with a 141.447.
Yeah, I was going to say Richie Wood not far behind. This is another driver that has been particularly speedy this week. I think he gets along well with this track and that McLaren.
Yep, so not particularly fast on this lap. Whoa, in the meantime, the other Yaron, Mr. Jeremy Yaron.
There we go. Nice.
3/10 up on his brother, a 141.145, which, and like I said, if the top time on the leaderboard is a 141.0, within a 10th of that, you know, when it counts in a live qualifying session. So an excellent clutch performance so far out of both of the Yaron brothers.
Yeah, that's a quick time. I'm pretty sure that's quicker than my PB around here.
Well, you know, the 488, it's got a favorable bop.
Yeah, we'll say it's that.
That's exactly why, and the only reason that. So on board here with Caleb Craig, currently sitting about 7/10 off of P1. He has improved on his best time, not enough to get him up to pole, but with a delta of about 3/10 coming through this 3rd sector here. Keeps it together, we should see at least a small promotion. Will he able to... I actually don't know if he's going to be able to take Richie Wood coming across the line here. Will it see him up into P3? Yes, it will by a fair amount.
Yeah, almost, about a 10th.
Taking a quick peek on board, we've got Mr. Sean Daniels crossing the line here. Small improvement that will see him not jump up the leaderboard. Perhaps it was an invalid lap and I just didn't realize it because race control is weird. But with a minute left on the board, he will have time for one more, hoping to bring that one home. Jumping back on board with our sweatshop champion, Mr. Jason Yaron, on his final qualifying lap. About a 10.5 up, coming into this tricky left-right section, up towards the hairpin, blind over this crest. You've got to kind of just know where the line is, have a reference point in the distance. Nails the braking point, gets it slowed down. Good drive. Still up on his delta, about 2/10. We'll see, though, if it's enough to overtake his brother for provisional pole.
Yeah, there's still, it's kind of tricky because you could be at that part in the track and you still have this turn, the Crocodiles and then Cheetah, the fast right-hander, which can really just suck out all the lap time, as he takes quite a bit of curb there, he keeps it neat and tidy. So hopefully that didn't take up too much lap time, although I don't know if that was an ideal run out of
going well wide in the last turn, lost a couple tenths on his delta, and
still,
in the end, not enough to take over provisional pole.
Yeah, yeah.
So the biggest gainer right now that I'm seeing on my timing sheet, Stephanie Fisher, one of the last drivers out on track, currently sitting in P9 with a 142.1. Couple tenths up on the delta. Does well to avoid the big sausage curb at Cheetah. And coming out now of this final left-hander onto the main straight. Going to be a good improvement out of Stephanie, getting herself promoted up into P7. with a 141.912. And that will be the end of our silver qualifying session. So the two Yarin brothers at the top, dominant performance out of them. Caleb Craig only able to manage a 141.5, so at best second row of the grid for the man who is the Coach Jeffrey's silver prediction.
Yeah, and it's still we say only, but it's still a pretty quick time. And I mean, it's not quite matching the practice, but of course it's hard to match your practice pace. But yeah, so I mean, I still think he's going to definitely be able to have pretty good pace during this race. But yeah, from the Yarin brothers, that is a fantastic performance from them for this qualifying.
Definitely. So the outside shot, kind of the dark horse pick for the team champion, is the Midfield Masters McLaren boys. But unfortunately, this is worth noting. We've got a couple outstanding penalties to serve. You kind of see it on your board there on the left. The two gold drivers who are in the pits still. We've got Mr. Justin McKechnie starting from the pits, and the other Midfield Masters McLaren, Quentin Shatner, has also earned himself a qualifying ban. Really going to be hurting his chances for this team championship overall, starting from the back of the grid.
Now, is Justin starting from the pits, or does he just have a qualifying ban?
For both drivers, it's just a qualifying ban.
Cool. Yeah, and that's yeah, it's kind of tough, especially for the last race. But again, like I said, you could have a lot go on the first lap here, and so sometimes starting from the back, isn't necessarily the worst thing at this track. It's not like Brands last week where it's really hard to pass. Passes are definitely doable here, and it's if you could have a qualifying ban on any track, this track is actually one of the better ones to have it on.
For sure, as we see Mark Anthony Eaton coming around this final corner, setting his first flying lap for the GRR Cool Runnings McLaren team. I do have to note we gave them a little bit of guff all season for they had their team name wrong in the bottom right. They both went out of their way to fix that for me. It's super appreciated. Thank you both to Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton and his teammate Sean Daniels of the GRR Cool Runnings McLaren team.
Yeah, I was just going to point out John Laz there. That's a pretty fast time for the first lap, right? Or has he done 2 now? He might have done 2 now.
No, well, so that's just out lap plus 1 flying lap.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no.
So yeah, that's a pretty quick time.
Tires still coming up to temperature, 141.582. That's respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, jumping on board now with Mr. Colin Shea, the Champion Motorsports Stefaz Design collaboration team, who happens to be our Coach Jeffrey's Academy Gold driver prediction for overall win of this race. First lap, only a 42.201, but well up on his delta, coming now through the second sector here. 7/10 showing the delta that he's up on his previous best, keeping it well hooked up through this fast left-hander. Up, I don't know if taking curb there is the ideal line.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to have upset him too much. Does a nice job getting it slowed down for the hairpin. 8/10 up on his delta. We're going to see a big improvement here, potentially, out of Mr. Colin Shea.
Yeah. Colin, he's definitely got some really good pace around here. I did some battling with him yesterday. Looks like he's having maybe some connection issues or something as he's kind of teleporting a little bit. But yeah, he's got a lot of pace around here. Is a little bit of oversteer on the braking going into T last. That's going to cost a little bit, I think.
Big time. That cost a half a second. Way down on his delta. Only improving up to 14th place. It's okay. He's got time for at least 3 more, it looks like.
That's always the hardest thing. I've had that where I've just been on a monster lap until that last turn and just mess up the braking for it or brake a little bit too late. That's another turn that, you know, sometimes just is begging you to brake late for, and you don't really want to do that, you know. So yeah, I definitely learned from experience on that one.
Yep, indeed. So checking out now, we've got our Lexus boys. This is Mr. DJ Watts. Another driver well up on his Delta, looking to see if he can hold it together. First lap was a 142.717. About 7/10 up on that, hoping to get into the 141s and get himself a good starting position, hopefully defending his lead in the team standing championships.
Yeah, DJ has had a lot of really quite good performances, a lot of quiet performances this season where he was just really able to take advantage, you know, was there in position and taking advantage of other drivers' misfortunes, and a lot of times that's what you kind of want, you know, sometimes as a driver. Yeah, he's definitely been able to put that Lexus to good use this season.
For sure. So coming across the line here, small improvement, 141.967, getting himself up so far to 13th place. His teammate, though, 141.705 up into 6th place. Well done so far out of both of these drivers. They'll have time for 2 more laps. Hoping to make a little bit of an improvement. You see there the driver on track just ahead, Zodi Fade, 141.962. Provisional 12th place. Looking at the deltas, though, you know, John Laz, not super great on this lap. He'll have time for 1 more. But yeah, right now these gold drivers are not able to touch the Yarin brothers, still sitting P1 and P2 at the moment.
Yeah, you love to see it. Love to see it.
Big gainer at the moment. We've got Mr. Chris Sweeney, this THR BMW. Very subtle, very beautiful, black and white and gold livery. Coming into this 3rd sector with a good improvement on the Delta. If he holds it together, should see a big jump up the timing screen. Slowed down nicely into the final corner. Gaining on the Delta all the time, about 3/10 up on his PB, which, as he crosses the line, we'll see him jump up into 8th place overall, a 141.770. Well done to him. Taking a look at... Gotta give love to the Nissan GTR. It's a fun car to drive. It's a beautiful looking livery on this bottle of water racing team from Mr. Justin Rosenthal. Currently sitting down in P27. Not a huge improvement showing on the board, but he will have time for 1 more lap before the end of this qualifying session. In the meantime, we did see Mr. Colin Shea crossing the line with a 141.360. Good improvement out of him, and he'll have 1 more shot at it.
Yeah, that's a quick time. Getting close to the older Ferraris.
Yeah, the new Ferrari trying to make an impression on the old Ferrari. We see Mr. John Laz about a 10th and a half up on his previous best.
Pretty wide there out of the hairpin at the top of the hill, or I guess the right-hander just after the hairpin, and or left-hander rather. Yeah, I wonder how much that costs there.
So as time expires, John Laz makes a good effort at this final left-hander, and with an improvement on the board, we'll see himself up only into 3rd place. Falls
close.
25 thousandths short of Mr. Jason Yarin, only able to get P3 so far. The Yarin brothers looking untouchable. We've got Curtis Lee crossing the line. Small improvement on the Delta. We'll see himself promoted from P7 to P5.
Nice.
141.495. It would appear, as Colin Shea crosses the line, takes Stays P4, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Jeremy and Jason Yarin, the final race of the season.
Love it.
Sharing the front row. You love to see it.
A Yarin lockout on the front row. That's awesome.
The Yarin lockout. Well done to both of them. So, this is the time of the show where we take the time to thank our community supporters, sponsors, and title sponsors. You got the names on the screen. These are the ladies and gentlemen who donate to server costs, helping out with the community, and the cruise fund, of course. As we kick it over now to Jay Queasy with our sponsor read.
A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favourite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience today with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top-tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specialising in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts and Fairy World collectibles. Magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay, and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron. And from KP Concepts, your source for custom automotive renderings, graphic design, and printing. We spend countless hours making you look all good for the spectacle. Check out kpconcepts.com for more.
So there you have it. Thank you once again to Mr. Jay Queasy, the man who took the time to do the recording of the sponsor read. He's been putting in countless hours for the community, helping out with the content production side of things. So give him a little bit of love and wish him well in this race, starting from P24 on the grid. But like you said, Donovan, you know, the chaos, potential chaos, not trying to jinx anybody, but the potential chaos of this first turn, first lap, essentially, some potential for improvement for Mr. Jay Queasy.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, he just put in the Discord 60 minutes and I could forget the GTR ever existed.
Oh, so, well, in that case, I take back all the nice things I've ever said about him. How could you disparage the GTR like that?
Yeah, I think he hasn't been getting along with it. You know, it's kind of difficult. It's a weird car sometimes. You know, it has, it's got its quirks, we'll say, and you know, some of the tracks haven't been great for it. I do think this is actually a really strong track for the GTR. It does feel good around here, but it's a tricky car though. It's not the easiest one to, and he's a fan of the Ferrari, so you know it's a very different car than the Ferrari.
Yeah, definitely. The 296 is a completely different animal. Sometimes feels like you're driving on easy mode, but hey, I don't mind. That's what I won my championship in. I have fond memories of that car.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we're on our sighting lap here, just taking the time to go through and appreciate some of these beautiful liveries that our drivers have created for this race. Might be the last time we see them all. We've got the Boddington's livery of Mr. Richie Wood. Got Aiden Burke, Champion Motorsports. If the camera can find him, there he is. teaming up with Stephanie Fisher. Actually, Aiden Burke P8. This might be the best qualifying result we've seen out of him so far.
I think so. Yeah, the Aston's good around here, and yeah, got some time to get used to the car, and yeah.
Telling me I should have practiced for this race. Mr. Russell Allen, that Plan E Porsche. Toby Fade, Midfield Masters. There's Stephanie Fisher, P13. Another, actually, maybe her best qualifying. Whoa, we've got a driver off. What on earth is going on with Mr. Steven Music? Decided to go exploring, wiping out a braking marker in the process.
Starting the race with some damage. That does come up on you, when you slow down for the to get into position. It really does sneak up on you, but yeah, my guess is it just was not expecting that.
I guess. Okay, so as our drivers come around the final corner here onto the main straight, waiting for those lights to go green, a little bit of drama in the background already. We see Mr. Jason Yaron well back in his starting position, potentially going to lose a position immediately to Mr. John Laz. Starting provisional P3, but as the lights go green now,
oh my gosh,
an amazing jump out of John Laz, potentially getting, as we come into the braking zone of turn 1, will he get both of the Yarn brothers? Surely not. Contact. Careful.
Curtis Lee. Oh my goodness. They're 3 wide going
3 wide into turn 3, and John Laz comes off the worst for it.
No.
Off into the mud. Another
There's some
driver
other cars off too. I think Jason was.
So Jeremy survived. Oh no. The other Yaron. Jason Yaron. No, it had to be.
Oh, whoa.
More incidents
what
ahead.
Just happened there?
That's
the track
Mr.
is closed.
Wilder Vargas. I'm going to try to get a little bit of a replay to see what happened there. Just chaos ahead. Drivers checking up into the braking zone and then coming out of that turn. Oh, there was a car sideways across track, and
oh my goodness,
carnage. We have a penalty already on the board. This is Quentin Shatner. Must have been far enough out of his starting box. Is the only way I can imagine he would have a drive-through by now. Oh, we see Rodrigo Fernandez, our early favorite, had done so well in the first couple races. Had to take some time off due to real-life commitments, and now due to damage has returned to pits already. Gotta imagine that's race over for him. Oh, it's been a
wild first lap.
Wild first lap. Jeremy Yaron, though, hanging on. You know, because of John Laz's unfortunate incident into turn 3, Jeremy Yaron now with a good gap over P2. Looking at about a 1.5 seconds over Mr. Curtis Lee. In that Panda Motorsports Porsche. We've got Mr. Caleb Craig, though, P3, doing well for himself. Mr. Richie Wood hanging on to P4. Colin Shea, the gold prediction, still hanging out in P5. 57 minutes left in this race. Plenty of time to make some moves. And like you did say, though, you know, this track does have plenty of overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, it really is good for battling, and you know, Curtis Lee is in a fantastic position. I mean, he was really able to capitalize off of that carnage there, you know, and going into turn 2, and that's a great car to defend with. You know, as long as you can keep things clean, you know, you can really utilize the Lexus top speed and be able to hold off cars. So, yeah, I've got my eye on Curtis there.
6 Mark Anthony, Chris Sweeney. So the other Bentley, this is Martin Riggs, Comic Racing Motorsports, sitting P8. So with a combined finish, I might have to get the spreadsheet out. So we see Curtis Lee P2, Caleb Craig P3. The other Lexus, DJ Watts, must have been caught up in some of that early carnage, has already made his first pit stop and is essentially hot lapping by himself right now. Something has happened to... Oh, Quentin Shatner serving his drive-through. Okay, sorry. I saw a name tumbling down the leaderboards. I had to figure out what was going on. So I'm going to start plugging some numbers into the spreadsheet to see what this means for the team championship. DJ Watts hoping to make a little bit of a comeback in this race. But the Bentley boys looking good. P3 and P8 so far.
Yeah, that's going to be big for their team championship there. It's going to be a long race for DJ Watts there. That's a long time to go on the tires. And yeah, so we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, his teammate Curtis Lee obviously in a fantastic position, you know, currently holding the fastest lap too. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how DJ's race goes from the back there. Martin Riggs looks like goes a little deep.
Hairpin.
Yeah. It's hard to spot your braking there. And I've noticed this track is actually really quite difficult with all those, you know, braking in the hills and stuff to spot your braking markers. Sometime, you know, when you're following other cars, you get so used to doing it, you know, in hot lapping mode, and when you're following other cars, I feel like they block a lot of your usual braking markers. So you kind of have to, you know, either readjust a little bit or just, you know, utilize your other surroundings, you know, to know your braking markers. So that could catch out some of these drivers.
So closest on-track battle right now, we're looking at Mr. Colin Shea right up behind Richie Wood and getting a little offline into the braking zone, vulnerable now to Mark Anthony Eaton from behind, but has the inside line going into this fast left-hander and easily able to maintain 5th position.
Yeah, a little bit of a gap between some of these top drivers. You know, Caleb Craig there kind of in his own little space ahead of this gaggle of cars. And, you know, Curtis Lee, you know what, keeping it about a second behind Jeremy there. And I had to think, which I'm so bad at remembering the numbers. I'm like going through the numbers in my head. Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, so.
Yeah, very true. So Jeremy on P1, a 1 second gap to Curtis Lee behind, who has a 2 second gap to Caleb Craig, who has himself a 3 second gap. So drivers 1, 2, 3 kind of in their own little worlds right now. The big battle, P4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh. They're all right next to each other on track and side by side coming into this final sector. Thankfully getting everything lined back up before they go through Cheetah. That one is going to murder you if you try to go side by side through there.
I saw it done. It was done yesterday in the practice race. But yeah, it is. And I want to say Eaton was there for it. I don't remember. I don't remember who it was. But yeah, that it's not a turn you want to go side by side, and it is pretty much a guaranteed death there, going side by side.
So Martin Riggs now still hanging out P8, waiting perhaps for just a little bit of action ahead of him. Going to take advantage of any chaos that might pop up. Curtis Lee, though, is pulling it back slightly, so you see on screen was able to get it back to 0.7 on the Delta to the Yarin brother ahead. So look at Racy, 52 minutes left in this race. Will we see more trouble behind for our other Yarin friend?
Oh no!
You hate to see it. He deserves so much better. He put in so much work, and coming into this fast left-hander just a little wide onto the grass.
Oh, grass.
And there, you know, I know they tell you to touch grass, but there's no traction out there, so please don't.
No. Yeah. That's such a shame. I feel like he has such terrible luck, especially for how much work he puts into it.
Yeah. Still, though, Mark Anthony Eaton right up on Colin Shea, who is himself right up on Mr. Richie Wood. The Ferrari 296, though, not known for its straight line speed. So as we come down this main straight, I'm expecting, if we go to the bonnet cam, this McLaren of Mr. Richie Wood, yeah, the Ferrari not able to make an impression down the main straight.
Yeah, that's really the tough thing about this car. It's strong on the brakes. It's really strong in the turns. But yeah, it's hard to make passes. You have to be really aggressive on things like braking. You can't just, you know, do the Lexus style where you just fly past them, you know, get into the slipstream and then you're done. It's definitely a different animal to fight with.
Yeah. So jumping back, we got another close on-track battle. These are the teammates of Mr. Burke and Mrs. Fisher, currently hanging out P15 and 16. You see Stephanie within about 3/10 on track. Not expecting too much action here, keeping it respectful. One of our qualifying bands starting from the back of the grid, Justin McKechnie, taking advantage of some of that early chaos. P14 from the back of the grid. What a great performance out of him so far.
Well, Justin's good at starts. He definitely knows how to be aggressive without, you know, necessarily going too far over, unless we missed something. But he is good at starting though. So yeah, it's definitely impressive. Oh, are they going to go side by side?
Oh no!
Oh, they do, and it didn't work.
It didn't work. Like the sausage was there. It pushed Eaton out into Richie Wood, who came off the worst of all, getting himself dropped from P4 to P10 in the course of a couple corners here.
I also just noticed that's Jay Queasy there.
It's Mr. Jay Queasy in P11. Speaking of good,
yeah.
Oh, Mark Anthony Eaton deep into turn
no.
1. A little bit of argy-bargy with Russell Allen. But both of them keeping it on track, and Eaton eventually giving up that position. Not sure if that was intentional or if that was just the way it worked out, but, you know, we're still going. Still plenty of time left. Richie Wood going further back still. He lost the position to Jay Queasy and now has lost the position to Phil Brown. Coming into sunset here. Mark Anthony Eaton and Russell Allen still going at it.
Sending it around the outside.
Surely
wow,
not. Oh, gotta give some room on the outside. You need to leave a space.
Yeah. You just barely leaving the space. Yeah, that definitely, you know, you want to squeeze. Sometimes you have to be careful, but I think that's safe. It was just barely enough
it was
safe.
Fine.
But
it was just yeah, you're right, just enough.
I'm sure Mark Anthony Eaton's not necessarily feeling that way.
So the Aston Martin team, you got to give it one more time. Last time of the season, this is the Steph As Designs Bitch Peas Aston Martin team of Aiden Burke and Stephanie Fisher. Still doing a little bit of battling. They were side by side for a second there through the hairpin. Just hanging out here.
What a shot for the team there. That was nice.
Beautiful stuff. So up at the front, so now that Colin Shea has gotten past and taken P4, he's starting to walk a little bit away from Chris Sweeney, who has now inherited 5th place. Gap of about a second between them, but still very close on track. We've got Martin Riggs, who in the meantime, with all that chaos, has jumped from P8 into P6. I'm going to have to update my spreadsheet here. That would now be 76 points for a P6 finish. If Curtis Lee maintains P2, Craig and Riggs stay where they are, it's actually looking pretty good for the Lexus team. DJ Watts, who had made the early pit stop, would only have to earn himself a P30 finish. And he would have enough points to take the teams. So yeah, he's sitting P26. We're going to need to see...
That's as long as Curtis stays in
right, as long as P2. Curtis Lee maintains position. We do still have an opportunity. If Mr. Martin Riggs can get a little bit of work done, maybe we can see a little bit of pressure put on the Lexus boys. But as it stands, with Curtis Lee in P2, things are looking up for the Panda Racing boys in the Lexus. Mark Anthony Eaton still super tight on Mr. Russell Allen. Not sure. Porsche in a straight line as we come through this sector 3 and onto the main straight. Are we going to expect any moves into turn 1? Eaton right up on the back of that Porsche, clicking it over to the bonnet cam, getting a good run out of this final turn already, essentially side by side. Even before they cross the start-finish line, Mark Anthony Eaton now going to have the inside line going into T1. This might be move done already. Hard on the brakes. Allen trying to hang it around the outside, but not even close. Mark Anthony Eaton, well done. Promotes himself up into P8. A name we haven't said yet this afternoon. We've got Mr. Zipperburn hanging out P13, battling with Mr. Richie Wood in the McLaren ahead. Hoping to get a little bit of ground gained. We've got, so that's the BMW of Phil Brown ahead, currently sitting P11. Jake Wheezy has somehow found himself up in P10. A great performance out of our other bottle of water GTR, despite the fact that he says he doesn't like the car.
I was just gonna say, yeah. How do you feel about the car now?
It's serving him well so far tonight. Zipperburn right up on the back, coming into this hairpin, not close enough to make a move, but we'll keep an eye on this battle as they come into the final sector here. Looking up ahead, so Mr. Jeremy Aaron holding on to P1 and has actually extended the gap to Curtis Lee behind. It's 1.7 seconds on your leaderboard on the left there, but as they cross the start-finish line, we're going to see that he has extended that lead up to 2.1 seconds over P2. So Jeremy Yarin hanging on and doing well so far in this race.
Yeah, keeping it together. I like this podium of cars, the kind of cars that we have here. Right. You know, they're that's our bop, at work there, having these 3 cars that are not typically known as being the most competitive, but they're all fantastic cars. They're all super fun, and yeah, it's fun seeing them all in the podium positions right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, speaking of the Bentley, Mr. Martin Riggs has tightened up the gap to P5 a little bit. He's now within about a half a second of the BMW ahead. 43 minutes left in this race, hoping to make a little bit of progress, earn himself a little bit more points in the team championship. But yeah, those Lexus boys looking good. The battle for, so this is looking at an on-track battle. We've got P11, Phil Brown, P12, Richie Wood, and P13, Mr. Zipperburn, all pretty close on track, separated by about 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, and and following, like I said, it can be difficult, especially for a long time. You can, stay relatively close, but again, it's that braking, and sometimes, just one small mistake could be, a pretty big consequence. But for now, these drivers keeping things clean and able to spot their braking, zones, and hopefully not going side by side through Cheetah.
Through Cheetah again. That's a risky one.
Yeah.
But if we think back to at our earlier round, it was round 2 of Laguna Seca. We had the curb of death in sector 3 there, which a ton of drivers died to. Kind of same thing here. You gotta watch out for that fast right-hander. Yeah, that's an easy one to clip, and when you do clip it, it is pretty difficult to recover from it. You almost have to practice clipping it, so you know what to do, because it is almost certainly going to shoot you out to the grass there, where it's bumpy and it's slippery and really easy to just try to correct that, or not able to correct it, and you end up going across the track, and hitting the barrier, and yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah, that's definitely part of the countless hours of practice. I mean, the way I do it, if I'm learning a new track, the first couple days of practice for me, I'm figuring out all of the ways to do it wrong, so that eventually I can figure out how to do it right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and you learn how, which of the curbs to avoid, because there are certainly some curbs that you want to take at this track, and then there are some curbs that you really want to avoid because it could, be not only just be a time, loss, but it could be a huge, just shoot you off to the other side of the track and, off it. So, yeah, definitely worth taking the time to go through those.
Sure. So at the end now of this 11th lap for our drivers, Mr. Zipperburn peeking to the inside of... Oh, we had drama ahead. That was Mr. Brown who got... I don't know if there was contact there. We might have to go back
I think
and
there was
check.
with Queasy there,
no,
Jay
with
Queasy.
Mr. Jay Queasy. Let's go back and see. So he was behind Queasy.
I think he was sending it on the inside. I think he was sending it on the inside right here.
Oh, I think he just
late
missed his
on the
braking
brakes.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, really late on the brakes there.
Unfortunate there. It means Jay Queasy will have been promoted up into P9. Mark Anthony Eaton and Russell Allen. Or no, sorry. So Zipperburn and Woods. Zipperburn, in the meantime, we saw had made the move stick out of that last corner and into turn 1, so a good move out of him, promoting himself up, gaining 2 positions actually into P10. But the battle continues. Richie Wood not giving up just yet.
Big news. Caleb Craig's internet crashed.
No.
That's what promoted Jay Queasy and everyone else up a position. We do not have Caleb Craig in the race anymore. That is
Craig
heartbreaking.
P3 is gone. Oh, dude.
That is terrible.
It's over. Oh, man. That's not how you want to end it. Caleb Craig had been so dominant this second half of the season.
That is so sad. That, and it's tough. This is, we've said it, many times before. That's like the equivalent of a mechanical failure.
Yeah. It happened.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. That is such a big bummer.
So the other Bentley now, Martin Riggs, we see taking his mandatory pit stop. We do need 1 mandatory tire change this race, so 39 minutes left. It's a little early, but that's okay. Man, you hate to see it. So we have already crowned our gold driver. It's Mr. John Laz. He's our gold champion. Mr. Caleb Craig, we can't highlight his car because he's not in the server anymore. Despite being out of this last race, Caleb Craig is our silver champion. Congratulations to him. And now it's essentially official. The Panda Racing Love of Lexus team of Mr. Curtis Lee and Mr. DJ Watts, your Season 12 Division 3 Team Championship winners. Not the way they wanted it to happen, I'm sure. Yeah. But I'm sure they'll gladly do the shoey for us anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and for me, these are my Lexus boys. So, but it's not the way I like to see championships. It's not the worst way, but I mean they've been absolutely fantastic. Putting in really solid, like I said, at times quiet performances. Curtis Lee's is not particularly quiet, today. He's been just racking up those fastest laps, like crazy, and, just running a very comfortable pace in P2. But, yeah, just solid finishes, yields, really good results in the team championship.
For sure. If you check out his last couple of races, Monza, Red Bull Ring, and Zandvoort, he had a 6th place, he had a 7th place, and he had a 4th place, which, they're not super glamorous, but those are super strong points on the leaderboard, and that's what, in the end, got the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to throw it back to the Paul Ricard, where he had a very exciting finish.
Yes,
and,
that was quite the finish. A couple of penalties that were handed out, but yeah, he ended up taking P2 in that race. So yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And I think DJ took a win, if I'm not mistaken, after a penalty. I don't remember what race that was, but
so he did finish P1, Paul Ricard. So because of penalties, it was actually the Lexus boys finished P1 and P2, which was awesome to see. And yeah, DJ Watts finished strong. He had a P1 and a P2 at Zandvoort's and Brands Hatch.
Yeah. Very solid, yeah, performances.
Yeah, so still on board with Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton, battling with a car we haven't seen a whole lot of. This is Christian Holmes in the Champion Motorsports Mercedes. It's a great looking car. I kind of wish we had more of them in the team championship. I know it's pretty tough to drive. It's a weird one. It looks like a front-engine car, but the weight balance makes it behave more like a mid-engine car, if you can believe it. But doing well, P5 in this race. After
yeah, I want to say the weight balance is almost the same as the McLaren, or if not the same as the McLaren, pretty much. Which is kind of odd to think about. You know, one being a front engine and one being a mid-engine. But
sure. So the battle on track, yeah, McLaren versus Mercedes, P5 and P6, 35 minutes left in this race. You know, at this point, if I'm Mark Anthony Eaton, this is the point where I'd be thinking about an undercut.
Yeah, we're definitely in that optimal pit window, and you know, this is always in that window where it's kind of almost playing chicken with the other car. You know, who's going to pit first, and yeah, because you typically want to be the first car to pit, but at the same time you don't want to pit too early. But yeah, if I'm Mark Anthony, I'm definitely wanting to pit. Yeah, Caleb, yeah, I see you in the chat there. I'm so sorry that ended that way, but I mean, honestly, it was you put in an insane season, so just you know, it's easy to get too caught up in the, you know, things like that, but it was a super solid season.
For sure. So a little bit of a on-track battle here. This is Mr. Quentin Shatner, who had that qualifying ban, started from the back of the grid, currently sitting P15 before pit stops, right up on the back of the Plan E Racing Porsche of Pat Cockcroft, going into the hairpin. Cockcroft having the inside line, maintaining position, but a great on-track battle here.
Yeah, great defense from Pat there.
That's Mr. Phil Brown behind, who we saw get a little hot into the final turn, spin himself out, currently sitting P16 and watching this battle from behind, hoping to take advantage of any chaos that might ensue. We've got a driver going a little slow. Our last turn. That's Mr. Burke, who is pitting. No drama there.
Makes sense.
False alarm. Don't worry about it. So a driver that we haven't had much of a chance to highlight in this race. This is Mr. John Ansom, currently sitting P15. Not a whole lot near him on track, though. About 2 seconds separating him and Phil Brown ahead. If we could perhaps switch to another camera and get a highlight of this livery. Ooh, the battle damage on that.
Some
McLaren,
damage,
though.
yeah.
I'm not going to say it on stream, but that is the whiskey livery of John Ansom. Again, this might be the last time we see these liveries, so you got to give a little bit of a spotlight to all the hard work that went into producing some of these graphics.
Yeah, that looks like a fair amount of damage there.
Yeah, he's been through the ringer. What?
Yeah.
So Mark Anthony Eaton still just kind of following behind this Mercedes. Christian Holmes getting a little loose out of that right-hander. Oh no! The curb.
Yeah.
Good recovery though, and he meant to do that.
Yeah, it was on purpose.
Hey,
that's a great time to pit. You know, when you hit the curb and you're like, okay, well, now's the time.
I'm off to the left anyways. It's pit time. 32 minutes left. Well done to Mark Anthony Eaton. Not only staying out of the wall, but excellent strategy out of him. 32 minutes left in this race. So yeah, we were talking about the undercut. We'll have to keep an eye on where he comes out on track in relation to Christian Holmes. Colin Shea is P3, and a lonely race as ever. So P1, Jeremy Yarn, a 3.5 second gap to Curtis Lee, P2, 5.5 seconds to P5. Our podium finishers, not a whole lot going on in this race.
Yeah, really kind of, off in their own worlds, but like I said, before, sometimes that's kind of what you want, a little bit when you're up in a podium, position. You're like, all right, just this way I could just focus on my laps. It's a little bit of a hot lapping situation, for them, but hey, it's a fun track to hot lap anyway, so.
Yeah, definitely. So just for reference, so we did see our early pitter was DJ Watts. We were looking to see where he would come out in relation to some of the other drivers on track, so still sitting behind a fair number of drivers who have already pit. He must have had a pretty big incident, maybe had to repair a bit of damage, wasn't able to make too much of an impression on this grid, lapping in the clean air like he was. Bill Brown still pretty close up behind Mr. Cockcroft. Battle for P10 and 11 provisionally on track. Of course, these guys haven't done their pit stops yet. We see Mr. Richie Wood and Justin McKechnie entering the pits for their mandatory pit stop. 30 minutes left in the race. Christian Holmes has decided to continue on. He'll be doing at least one more. Must be feeling good about his tires.
Interesting to be staying out. I mean, if I had the driver right behind me pit, I'm pretty much coming in the next lap. I'm not going to want to chance that too much. So that's an interesting decision staying out.
Yeah, no, you figure the driver behind, he's going to have a bit of a slower out lap on cold tires. You put in a hot lap as an in lap, pit the very next lap, and that should be enough to cover off the undercut. Christian Holmes deciding to go a little bit long, though. Got Mr. Daniels, Mr. Brown in the pits as well. Click onto Mr. Justin McKechnie exiting the pit now, so he will be able to exit ahead of the number 612 car of John Laz.
Laz, yeah, so 14th, P14, I believe that is. Yeah.
Zipper Burn, yeah, so Zipper Burn P13, McKechnie P14, and yeah, John Laz P15. Because of that unfortunate lap 1 turn 3-ish incident.
Pretty solid recovery so far from John Laz, though.
Yeah, no, he's definitely got the pace. I mean, best lap, a 142.200, which compared to the purple lap of Mr. Christian Lee, 142.195, only 5 thousandths off of that. Yeah, John Laz is doing the work. He's still fast in this race. Queasy now electing to pit. John Anson and Pat Cockcroft continuing on, as did, of course, Mr. Christian Holmes. He's doing at least one more.
It's pretty interesting to go that long. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious what the thought is. My guess is he's just feeling really good about the tires, just feeling still good about the lap times, and consistency. Sometimes when you're in the zone, you just want to stay in the zone. For me, I oftentimes feel like I need to pit because I need to switch up the rhythm a bit, But ooh, Jay Queasy. Let's see. So he's coming out
Just
in
pits
P12.
right behind Richie Wood.
Yeah, splitting up these McLaren.
boys.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, what, he started 24?
Yeah, roundabout.
I believe. Yeah, so that's fantastic. Race so far from Jay Queasy.
So it's all popping off. So P2,
There
Curtis
we
Lee
go.
has decided to pit. Christian Holmes pitting as well. Jeremy Yarn, though, continuing on. 19 laps and still doing... So his last lap, a 143.0, as compared to his PB of a 142.295. He's getting a little bit of tire deg. I'd be thinking about pitting right now if I was Mr. Jeremy Yarn.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he comes in now. We just see the other Yarn, Jason, put in a fastest lap.
as you would expect, the man with the top time on the practice leaderboard, putting in a 141.852. Now with a fresh set of rubber underneath him, currently lapping in P23. It could have been so much more.
Yeah, it's such a bummer. Yeah.
On board with Quentin Shatner, who is right up behind a name that we haven't mentioned yet this evening, Mr. Samuel Cortez of the TC8 Racing Team, driving that iconic black and green livery in the McLaren, who is right up behind and looking really racy with Stephanie Fisher. This is
really aggressive on the brakes there. I mean, that, you know, kind of sets you up for a lower exit speed, but definitely kind of getting in the mind, you know, a little bit of the driver ahead, you know, when you see a car get really big in the rearview mirror.
The pits are happening, so this is Mr. Jeremy Yarn has elected to pit. 25 minutes left in this race. Colin Shea deciding to continue on, so we'll see. We'll jump on board with Mr. Curtis Lee with that extra lap or two that Jeremy Yarn put on that old set of tires. We'll have to see where he comes out in relation to Mr. Curtis Lee. I'm sure.
I think he just did one lap.
Just one lap extra?
But
okay.
I'm assuming he's going to stay ahead. Now, we do see Eaton and Holmes, they did swap positions. Eaton did catch Holmes, you know, with Holmes staying out a couple laps. But I think it's going to be closer, but I think
well, so
Jeremy's definitely going to stay ahead.
Now, Curtis Lee on the main straight. Yeah, that's a pretty big gap, though. Surely not nearly close enough. Looking at the bonnet cam, so off in the distance, that white car entering turn one. Yeah, so Mr. Jeremy are responding, perhaps, like you said, to the undercut, pitting on the very next lap, defending against Curtis Lee, who will stay P2 overall. I'm sure after pit stops all work out. Colin Shea still on track. This will be the opportunity. We'll see as he comes around this second to last right-hander before Cheetah, if he will take the opportunity to pit. 24 minutes left in this race. I mean, it seems logical to me. If it's a 60-minute race and I need tires, 30 and 30 is the way to go, right?
Yep, there you go, yeah.
But a little bit longer for Colin Shea. 24 minutes now in the... What was that?
Clipped the inside wall there. That's a hard pit entry, especially if your pit box is towards the back of the pit lane, you know, because it's like right away once you cross that very tight turn. And it's easy to pick up extra damage, I've noticed on that pit lane. I've seen it happen quite a few times.
So this is actually our last driver yet to do his pit stop, and he's been doing it all season. Mr. Pat Cockcroft just loves his first set of tires. He's still 20 laps in. At the end of his 21st lap, he says, yeah, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, he does like these long first stints. Ooh, side by side to the hairpin. Ooh. That leaves open for Quentin and Shatner there.
Shatner, the opportunistic move, taking advantage and also getting past now is Stephanie Fisher. Excellent move out of him, seeing the opportunity and going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, peeking down the inside there, going into the Crocodiles. Yeah, and right up on the back of him going into Cheetah, which can be a little difficult. If you see, you know, he backs out a little bit, you know, just so you can see. Sometimes it's a little difficult to see where your turn in is there on that turn. But yeah, it looks like he didn't get quite as good of a run, maybe. Yeah, Stephanie's not going to be able to do anything about it, I don't think.
Watch out! Oh, ooh. No! Oh, that's a two.
Double kill.
That's a 2-for-1. Oh no! Okay.
We might have cursed Stephanie there. Stephanie has been doing all the cursing in D2, so we might have done a little bit of cursing for her.
Have returned the favor. So Stephanie Fisher playing a little bit of pool there, hitting the cue ball. Quentin Shatner into the back of Samuel Cortez. They're both back on track. They'll have a little bit of damage, but you know, they're hanging out. Still P17 and 18 for Cortez and Shatner.
And DJ Watt says, thank you very much. There's a free 3 positions.
Jay Watt says, P15, I'll take that.
Yeah, yeah. Again, DJ with those kind of quiet, just there to take positions, against others' misfortunes.
So now that Mr. Pat Cockcroft has come into the pits for his mandatory tire change, the view at the top is a little bit clearer. So our race leader is still Mr. Jeremy Yarin, a 3-second gap to Mr. Curtis Lee, who has himself another 3 seconds on Mr. Colin Shea, is a bit ahead of Chris Sweeney, currently sitting P4 and maybe looking to gain a few points towards the end of this race. A little bit of an on-track battle. We've got Mr. Russell Allen kind of close up behind the Bentley of Mr. Martin Riggs. This is a on-track battle for P7 and 8. Closest battle in the top 10. Got Mr. Phil Brown, who is... Whoa! He missed his braking point into turn 1. Collects DJ Watts, who... Pierce stalls. His engine is now waiting for an up. Just go left. Or go. Okay, it's okay. Okay.
Oh man, that is tough.
I think that's the second time now we've seen Phil Brown missing a braking point and drawing a little bit of contact. A rough night for the BMW, which is normally really good on the brakes.
Yeah.
So let's jump on board instead with Mr. Zipperburn. Currently sitting P11 behind Mr. Jay Queasy, the legend in the Bottle of Water GTR, currently sitting P10 overall, a massive jump, at least 12, 13, 14 positions gained for Mr. Jay Queasy. A fantastic send-off to this Nissan GTR for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a solid performance so far.
Suppose it would be worth mentioning. It's not necessarily for any accolades. It's kind of just for bragging rights. Our on-track battle for 7 and 8 right now between Mr. Martin Riggs and Mr. Russell Allen would be your battle for P2 in the overall silver championship standings. If you care about that type of thing, you're looking at it on screen now. Mr. Russell Allen trying to make the overtake and gain those points, getting that P2 silver.
Yeah, it's definitely it's quite close. I mean, when you look at positions, 2, 3, and 4 in the silver championships, only 3 points separate those 3 positions. So it is very close between those, and those are Martin Riggs, Zipperburn Jr. and Russell Allen. So yeah, between that P7 and P8 there with Riggs and Allen, I mean that's definitely has again, it's not for much but other than bragging rights, but it's still it's something.
It matters.
Something you could put in a description.
It would matter to me for sure. See Mr. Aiden Burke trying to get a little bit racy around the outside of Phil Brown. Nothing happening to there, but the battle will continue. Got Sean Daniels right up behind Mr. John Ansom in that super battle damaged McLaren. Stephanie Fisher similarly right up behind Mr. Matt Cockcroft coming through this final hairpin. Still some good on-track battles. Hoping to see a little bit of action in this remaining 17.5 minutes of this final race. Get a view. So yeah, wow, that GTR on the straights, just walking away from the McLaren a bit, looking really good. Oh, slidey into turn 1 though, or turn 2 technically.
Another thing that the GTR is really good at, especially with battling, is corner exits. The thing just absolutely pulls out of corner exits, which definitely can be helpful with defending. But yeah, I mean, it's not quite the Lexus on the straights, but it's pretty close. Ooh, some oversteer there.
Yeah, a bad corner exit there out of the McLaren, which, from my experience, pretty tough to drive. Samuel Cortez not being able to get the drive down, despite at one point being side by side with Aiden Burke. losing a bit of time there. Still plenty of time left in this race, though.
The McLaren does not like to slide it at all. I feel it. You know, there's some cars where you could slide a little bit and still be able to keep some pace up, and the McLaren is not that way. If you're saving a slide, you have to sacrifice a lot of pace.
Stephanie Fisher hanging out in P18, still looking pretty good up there. Russell Allen, you know, the gap ahead has not really come down to the Bentley, and as we come onto this main straight, you would expect this is where the Bentley is going to just stretch its legs out and say, yeah, no, I don't deal with Porsches right now. You're not on the same planet as me right now.
Yeah, the Porsche's good at those corner exits, but it's the rest of the straight that the Bentley's just gonna walk away on. So yeah, it's difficult to bet. You know, I don't drive the Porsche like really at all, other than hot lapping. But from battling it in other cars, it's a difficult car to make moves on. Like, you know, kind of like how I was mentioning with the 296. You have to be super aggressive on things like braking and in the turns, and that's a lot trickier than cars like the Bentley, where you could kind of just get the passes done on the straights.
So the gap was about a second going kind of through turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. The Porsche, like you said, in this kind of middle section where it gets tight and twisty, is doing well to close the gap. Only 2/10. You can see it represented visually at the hairpin. Yeah, so far unable to really make an impression. We've had a little bit of drama.
Yeah, we have a yellow from
Quentin Shatner. So this is coming turn 3 now. King zone to turn 4. Pretty tricky. Will we see him touch grass? Yep, a little bit.
It's the exact same thing.
That looks familiar.
It's Jason Yarn earlier. Oh.
So Quentin Shatner currently sitting down P20. But hey, he's still got it all together. He didn't hit the wall, so not a whole lot of front end damage to deal with. John Anson right up behind Sean Daniels. Actually, there was an overtake, if I'm not mistaken. Sean Daniels getting past Mr. John Anson. Just barely missed the back of that. Russell Allen still right up behind the Bentley. A little bit closer this time around, so we'll stay on board to see what we can do coming into Sector 2 here. Right up on the back of this bumper. Both drivers going a little bit wide, missing the apex. A little bit of pressure here. 13.5 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, you could see those, you know, the things I was talking about there. You know, the Russell definitely got a better exit there with the power, but by the end of that, even short straight, that's where the Bentley power just starts coming into play there and is able to keep that gap.
So going now up into the hairpin. Russell Allen not close enough to go for any sort of lunge. Maybe, you know, if it were me, you know, you don't need to make the move immediately. Lots of time left in the race. Gonna have, you know, at least, I'm gonna say 6 or 7 or 8 laps perhaps to get this move done. Kind of just evaluating, where am I strong? Where is the other car strong? Where could I potentially make a move if I were so inclined?
Yeah, and you could see a lot of the times it's in the braking, you know, and which makes sense when you think about the cars, you know, especially
right
like
there.
here. Yeah, you just see Russell Allen could just go later on the brakes, and however, you know, in that, I think Martin Riggs was doing some tactical defending there and waiting to get on, you know, throttle at the apex a little bit, you know. A lot of times, it looks like he's going semi-defensive there into turn 2.
Turn 2, technically.
Yeah, it's kind of painful calling it turn 2, especially because that kink on the main straight, there's a larger kink, you know, coming up to the hairpin, and that's not counted as a turn. But yeah, whatever. I don't quite understand the turn numbering sometimes, but that's okay.
We don't make the rules, we just play by them.
Yeah, we just work here, right?
we just work here. So,
Yeah, look how close he's keeping it on some of these braking zones.
Yeah, so coming into that fast left-right, he drew really close, but coming out of it, lost ground and
Lost a lot, yeah.
not able to make it close enough into the hairpin to get any sort of overlap.
Again, I think Martin is also doing some tactical waiting to get on throttle on some of these inside turns, you know, because that really is playing into the strengths of the Bentley. If you just wait on,
Ooh, bit wide.
he hits,
Has to go
he
well
hits the
defensive.
curb. Oh,
Side by side, surely though the Bentley will be able to stretch its legs side by side. The Porsche, I'm expecting, will not be able.
hold this. Yeah, it's.
But he's staying close. Who's braver on the brakes? Russell Allen thinking
Russell
about
Allen,
going around the outside. Can
he's
he do
sending
it?
around the outside.
Does he have an overlap? Not quite.
Nope, not quite.
Oh, that was close. That was almost it.
That was really close. I was thinking to myself, you know, I would be so tempted to, you know, just tuck back in and try to get, you know, an over-under or something so you have the inside for turn 3 and 4 there. But, you know, Russell Allen feeling brave on those brakes. I mean, you know, like you were saying, you could, you know, when you spend quite a few laps behind your opponent, you could to really think about, you know, where you're stronger. And Russell definitely, you know, it seems to have the edge on Martin on the braking zones. But again, with, you know, Martin and his corner, you know, waiting to get on throttle, he's definitely doing very well defending against Russell's braking and such.
No time left in this race. You wonder what all this action is going to be doing to the tire wear. I feel like the Bentley is kind of having to work a lot harder than the Porsche behind. We'll see how he does with this dangerous curb at Cheetah this time. Does well to survive it. Still, like you said, semi-defensive, kind of just sitting in the middle of the road, saying that there's not going to be room on either side of me. Good drive down this main straight, though. Not expecting anything into turn 2.
Notice Martin definitely takes a lot more of a narrow line.
Very
because I don't think that was necessarily a defensive move there. I have a bit of that habit here of, you know, going pretty narrow. Oh man, really good run out of Russell, but he's not going to be able to do anything about it going into sunset.
As you say that,
he sends it.
What?
Oh my goodness. What a move.
That's perhaps the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. I have to see it again from the outside.
That was amazing, yeah.
So right up on the tail of the Bentley coming into sunset, which, like you said, not normally an overtaking location, but just braver on the brakes.
Sends it down the inside. Wow, that was
Sticks it in.
fantastic.
Beautiful
from
stuff.
Russell Allen there.
Wow. Oh, so P7 now, Russell Allen. P8, Martin Riggs, who is still, you know, well in touch. This race isn't over yet. As we come now through the little right-hander, coming up into the final right-hand kink at Cheetah, into the last turn onto the main straight. We'll see the Bentley, which does have the top speed advantage, so the gap ahead about 0.7 of a second. If he can keep it within slipstream range, will the Bentley be able to claw any ground back? As they cross the line, though, about 0.8 of a second, which I think is outside of slipstream range.
Yeah.
Yeah, no ground gained on the straight. And that looks like it's just Martin's
Really
line.
narrow line.
I think that's just how he drives. He's not defending right now, obviously. So fantastic stuff here out of our D3 drivers. Looking down the field, you got to give a special shout out once again. Mr. Jason Yaron has reset the fastest lap of the race, a 141.475. Unfortunately, though, hanging out down in P22, you hate to see it. His brother, though,
that's a bummer.
hey, we're still doing good. We still got one Yarin on the top step of the podium. Jeremy Yarin and the other Ferrari 488, a 3-second gap over Mr. Curtis Lee, hanging out P2. Chris Sweeney, we were so distracted by the silver battle. What has happened with Mr. Colin Shea losing out P3 to Mr. Chris Sweeney? I wonder how long ago that happened.
How did we miss that? Oh my goodness. Yeah, we were so focused on Russell and
normally I can see the deltas coming down. I didn't even notice a move happening.
Yeah.
Speaking of close deltas, we've got Zipperburn still all over the back of Mr. Jay Queasy. Coming through Sector 3 here. Good on the brakes. That Nissan looking a bit slidey.
It does that. It gets a lot of rotation under braking and can be, especially as the stint wears on or goes on, it can get a little bit tricky to keep that back end in check on some of these turns around here, and that's one of them.
So on to the main straight here, the GTR again, just with the power, putting it down. Zipperburn unable to make an impression on the straight. Colin Shea, though, despite losing P3 to Mr. Sweeney, has been able to keep it close. Only a half a second switched the time difference between these two cars. 5 minutes left in this race. Still plenty of opportunity to regain the final podium position. Two tenths here coming into the hairpin. Not close enough for any overlap. Sweeney looking a bit defensive. A tighter line, which will get a compromised exit. 2 tenths still the gap. Right up behind this BMW. Coming into this braking zone for the right-hander. Will there be a potential? A little look to the inside? Not quite. BMW going a bit wide, missing the apex by a couple tire widths.
This is one of those cars that's kind of hard to pass when you're a Ferrari. Definitely defensive move there from Sweeney, especially getting late on the power. You know, Colin Shea doesn't really have anything he can do in that situation, and I'm sure Sweeney knows that, so he's like, I'm going to wait just a half a second longer to get on power, just to, wow, going really defensive there into turn 2.
Yeah, Chris Sweeney really wants this final podium position. Taking some very defensive lines, not offering any space to Mr. Colin Shea for a potential dive bomb.
Although
we are coming into sunset, this is where this is where Russell Allen made it happen. Now,
and well, the difference there too is Chris Sweeney, you know, was middle of the road defense there, which again, he's middle of the road defense everywhere here, and that's why you're seeing, you know, that gap between, you know, from Curtis just absolutely extending. I don't think these, you know, two are putting in some fast times, as Colin is definitely close here. Is he going to be brave on the brakes? Try to set up an over-under.
No, I was expecting
Sweeney again.
Wow.
The late on throttle there, I think, from Sweeney, you know, and that just makes it so Colin can't really do anything getting on power, just because, you know, there's nowhere to go when you got
there's a car at the apex. You
lazy
gotta wait.
on throttle. Yeah.
So coming through Cheetah here, driver is narrowly avoiding that big yellow sausage curb on the inside. Sweeney again, tied on the apex, slow through the apex. Colin Shea now right up behind.
So far,
this is the opportunity. We'll see what line Sweeney will have to take. Wow, dude, the top speed of the Ferrari is not it right now.
It's pretty rough. I mean, it is definitely rough.
Tried potentially for the cutback, but Sweeney just doing a fantastic job. Taking the defensive line, but getting it stopped at the apex, turned, and just getting the throttle down. That's the rear end of that BMW looking really stable right now.
Yeah, it really is.
Defensive into sunset. You didn't think that would be necessary. Slow at the apex. wide at the exit, and now, wow. So
There it
Sweeney with the
is.
mistake at the exit of Sunset, losing the position now to Colin Shea. The race isn't over yet, folks. 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. So you figure, based on track position, Jeremy Yaron will be crossing the line with about 1 minute left on the clock. So we'll have, after we cross the line this time, we'll have 1 more lap left in this race to finish off some of these battles. Speaking of battles, we've got Mr. McKechnie behind Zipperburn and Queasy. This is P10, 11, 12, super close on-track battle. We'll see.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Justin McKechnie too. He was the one with the qualifying ban, and yeah, look at this around the outside, flashing while he's doing it. That is the most Justin thing ever.
Who's got
to
the
be
meatball
sending-
flag? What is that?
Oh, that's Jay Queasy. He doesn't have his headlights on.
Excuse me? Is that legal?
Yeah, I thought you could only do 3 laps without headlights. So, oh, is Justin doing it? Is he doing it?
At Cheetah side by side? They survived though. Justin McKechnie taking the position off of Zipperburn. Well done. That's P11 now for the GRR Bailey Mobile.
Love to see it. Justin's great at those aggressive moves that most people don't really want to do typically. Yeah, this isn't over between these two.
Absolutely not. So final lap here now for our top drivers. This is Sweeney still right up behind Colin Shea. He wants that final podium position back. About a half a second separating the two. That's a good line for Mr. Sweeney. Coming up the hill into the hairpin. Still about a half a second. Not close enough for any sort of dive bomb. Deep on the brakes. Watch out.
Ooh, really deep on the brakes. I don't know if that was purposeful.
Yeah, no, and that's going to compromise his exit, losing a tenth or two there. Still a little bit of time. If he can get a good run out of this right-hander, if he can get close enough coming into the final turn, potential for one more chance at an overtake. Both drivers surviving Cheetah.
Yeah.
And not close enough, unfortunately. So Colin Shea regaining the final step of the podium. We've got Mr. Jeremy Yaron, the Ferrari 488, getting it done.
Those donuts.
Get in those donuts.
Yeah.
We've got Mr. Curtis Lee in the Lexus P2 from Colin Shea. Whoa. That's how you rack up a repair bill. Chris Sweeney P4, well done. Christian Holmes P5, a fantastic result from him.
Yeah.
Russell Allen was able to hold on to P6, taking
Which I
the
think
points off
that's-
of Martin Riggs.
I think that's getting the silver championship by 1 point. P2 in the silver championship by 1 point for Russell Allen. That's so close.
Yep, Richie Wood, Eaton Queasy. People are leaving the server. I think that was a P10 position for him. But yeah, the man of the hour, Mr. Jeremy Yaron.
Yeah, dominant performance. Just kept that gap the same to Curtis Lee. Like the entire race was pretty much within around that 3 seconds. It's definitely a dominant performance there from Jeremy Yaron there.
Yep.
It's awesome.
So as our drivers start to filter into the post-race review chat, hoping to get a quick interview. There's so many people that we really need to talk to. I mean, where do we start? We've got Mr. John Laz, our gold winner. We've got Caleb Craig. I don't know if he's going to come back. He had the internet issues. He's our silver winner. We've got Lee and Watts, and I figure we have to talk to Mr. Yaron first.
Yeah, absolutely. If any of them filter into the race chat, that's the current problem.
It's okay.
None of them has.
We're all just talking to each other. That's fine. I love listening to the sound of my own voice. So I guess we might as well take the opportunity to say thank you to everybody out there in YouTube land. We've had great support. from everybody all season. The Craig family, Mr. Robichaud has been hanging out with us, Mr. Stephen Buckley, aka Mr. Castle and Cauldron himself. Everybody who's ever popped into the YouTube chat, everybody who's ever left a comment, thank you so very much for your support. We do now have Mr. Jeremy Yarn in the chat. If we think he's available for a little bit of a chat. A little bit of a...
I'm sure he is. Here, I'll pull him in. Jeremy Yarn with a dominant performance there. How are you feeling? You got to be feeling great. I mean, you kept that gap the same like the entire race.
Yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic. It's my first win since season 8, so I'm pumped. I'm absolutely pumped. It's good to feel relevant again.
Well, it's felt like a long time coming. You know, you've had definitely, you know, some great pace here and there, but not the luck not necessarily on your side. But this time, you know, the stars seemed to align, and yeah, you were able to do that dominant performance there. It was, you know, we were so excited to have both the Yarn brothers, you know, on front. It's, you know, Jason not quite getting the fortune, but I mean, for you though, that was definitely a great performance from you.
Yeah, I just knew if I could close the door after turn 3 and keep a lead and keep my head down and stay clean, that's all I was focused on, and it worked out.
We saw you pit right after Curtis. Was that any bit of a defensive pitting?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I pushed the car as hard as I could all the way up until the pit, tried to get the best lap time I could, maintain the gap. I, for a split second, because the box at Kyalami is a bit wonky, so at least in the 488, you got to be really far left opposed to other tracks. So I thought I completely mucked it up. And when the car lifted, it just went straight up, and I just started celebrating. And then I saw the ticker going down, and then once it hit about 10 seconds, I was off the pit line, and I was just hoping for the best from there, and it worked out. So I'm super happy.
I mean, I think you played it perfectly. I mean, that, like I said, that gap. I mean, I was, you know, checking out that gap, you know, to Curtis, and it was basically the same the entire race. So.
Yeah, and kudos to Curtis for keeping such great pressure. I mean, even at 3 seconds behind, I couldn't keep my eyes off the MFD. So, yeah, awesome job to him and everybody else who did well this race. So,
yeah, it was definitely an exciting race. Well, yeah, huge congrats on the win today. Do you have any shout outs or anything of the sort?
Thanks first and foremost to my brother and my wife for putting up with my shenanigans and my toy race car. And and thanks to OBDA and SRA for all the fun.
Yeah, awesome. Huge congrats on the win.
Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for the stream.
Yes, sir.
No problem. So, yeah, that awesome performance there from Jeremy Yarn there. Definitely an impressive drive.
Yeah, no, good showing out of him. It was a shame we couldn't get both of the 488s there at the end, but I'll settle for one. We were waiting all season for at least one, and Jason will at least be able to sleep soundly at night knowing that he's going to get that sweatshop award in the end.
Yeah. Well, and hey, qualifying, you know, front row lockout that's
impressive.
Worth something as well. That's definitely impressive. So
take it into the replay, go into photo mode, take that picture, put it on your wall. That's impressive, having the brothers.
Also worth saying, Jason Yarn had the fastest lap.
Of course, yeah, extra points. They got the extra point for the pole lap. They got the extra point for the fastest lap. It was a great performance out of both.
Absolutely.
So our gold winner, Mr. John Laz, not currently in the voice chat. I mean, Caleb Craig is there. I mean, do we want to see how he's feeling after the disconnect?
Yeah, we could pull him in.
I mean,
if he wants to talk to us.
I'm not seeing our Lexus boys either. Not a whole lot going on.
I know, yeah. Everybody's checking out or celebrating early.
Right, the season's over. Pop the champagne.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Up to you.
Yeah, here, let me pull in Caleb Craig for just a quick chat. Caleb Craig, we're just pulling you in just so you know, we wanted to, talk. It was a real shame about the internet disconnect there, but I mean, it was an awesome season from you. You're obviously well clear in that championship in the silver. I imagine it's a bit of a bittersweet, with how that race, ended. But yeah, how are you feeling overall with that championship win?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think they already said I clinched it, so I was kind of just going for.
Oh, by hundreds of points. You were
Yeah,
well
you
clear.
I was going for the imaginary overall at that point,
Yeah.
and after lap 1, I felt really comfortable. I wasn't catching Aaron or Lee, and then I finally started finding pace, and then just had a little server shutter, and then it said disconnect, and I just.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling, especially because that's something you have no control over. Like, we said in the stream, that's the sim racing equivalent of a mechanical failure. Just something that you have no control over, but definitely happens, and it's always a shame when it does happen. But
The
hey,
biggest
I
worry
mean,
was like during the driver's briefing, I lost connection too. I was like, okay, maybe it's just that one time thing. And then, of course, 30 minutes later, here it comes back, and now it's working fine again. So who knows?
just your ISP messing with you.
Got DDoSed.
But well, hey, I mean, it like I said, a bummer way to finish it, but it really doesn't, color your incredible performance all season. So definitely, we just wanted to pull you in. Congratulations on that silver win there, and by a lot too. I mean, hundreds of points. So it was definitely a fantastic win from you.
I appreciate it. I just wish we could have finished it off with a team win too, because I think how we were running, we were going to be close.
Yeah, definitely.
Riggs finished really well, and
I think Riggs finished at P7.
Lee,
Yeah,
maybe it would have been like really close because I think we were like 50 behind or something.
yeah, it would have been close. I don't know where DJ finished. I don't remember where DJ finished, but yeah, it definitely would have been very close.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about and worry about the entire time, because we wanted to see if we could squeeze that out, especially with how we were both running there halfway through.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's definitely a shame, but like I said, I mean, you guys did great nonetheless.
I appreciate it.
Well, awesome. Well, yeah. Any final thoughts, before I send you back to the race review?
I really don't know what to say, honestly. Thanks for the season. I'm thankful for my parents actually wanting to watch this, because I was very hesitant to even ask them to watch, and now they've been watching since Bonza.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Hey, I love that. That's always super nice to have the support. But,
Just adds even more like anxiety for me, because now I have to finish good.
Yeah, trust me. I know my 9-year-old grandma watches my streams, so yeah. But alrighty. Anyway, well, yeah, huge congrats on the championship. I'll send you back to the race review.
Thanks.
So Caleb Craig, our silver championship winner. I don't see John Laz anywhere.
Yep, no, me neither. So I suppose without John Laz and without either of our Lexus boys available for a chat, that's gonna kind of do it for us. An interesting end to the season. We had some good battles. Kyalami, I think, delivered on the hype. A great track to race on, and these D3 boys put on a show for us.
Yeah, it honestly, this track definitely provides some really great battles, and we saw a lot of that today. A lot of great passes, from Russell Allen there on Martin Riggs and Justin McKechnie. Yeah, some great performance from these D3 drivers.
So, as a little bit of a wrap up, Donovan, thanks for hanging out once again. It was another great season. Any final thoughts? Any final shout outs? Gotta say hi to Grandma.
I mean, yeah, Grandma, yeah, she's watching this one. I know sometimes she watches the D3 streams too.
Nice.
But yeah. I mean, it's been another great season. We still have to, I guess, finish our race tomorrow, so we can't check out too much on it. But yeah, I just wanted, a huge shout out to all of the people that are responsible for SRA and all of the sponsors and all our admins and stewards and managers. I mean, there's so many people that put in a lot of countless hours to keep this league up and running smoothly. And yeah, I mean, we obviously wouldn't be here without those people. So yeah, huge shout out to everyone who's responsible for that.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, so I won't. I'll just say thank you, everybody out in YouTube land. We are signing off now. Philip Enos Mueller, Donovan Colton. We will see you potentially next season.